Hello everybody, for today's video we're going to start off underground. I've mentioned before that some of the London main stations and main lines have to be partially located underground, where they wouldn't normally be, for reasons of space. So there simply isn't enough space for all the platforms above ground. Waterloo is one of those stations, and in fact this main line remains underground until just before Wimbledon. Waterloo actually has to be built on 3 vertical levels just because of the amount of platforms it has. I should say also that Waterloo and the South West Trains network is now complete, so everything you'll see going out of London now is the complete South West Trains timetable. So we're following this train from London Waterloo to Poole, although we'll only be taking it as far as Southampton. This is the slow service technically, although it's still pretty fast as far as Basingstoke and Southampton really. So this is the main artery out of southwest London, the Southwest Main Line, and these fast lines that we're on carry about 9 or 10 trains an hour, so it's pretty tight timetabling, but it seems to all work pretty well, which, as I've said before, is once again testament to how good Simutrans Experimental is, that it allows for this kind of simulation. It's pretty incredible. So this train runs fast from Clapham Junction to Farnborough, so it won't stop at Woking, but it is having to wait for a platform. I believe there's something ahead which must be running a bit late, perhaps. And it runs on the middle fast lines all the way to Farnborough, before switching to the outer slow lines to stop at Farnborough and Fleet on its way to Basingstoke and beyond. So this video is showcasing the lines all the way from Waterloo to Weymouth, and we'll take this slower service all the way to Southampton. The reason we won't take it all the way to its destination at Poole is that it does quite a lot of waiting en route, in line with the real timetable. So this train will wait at Southampton for about 15 or 20 minutes in order to let a fast train to Weymouth go past, and that's the one we'll join. But that's not the end of it. About half an hour later at Brockenhurst, this train waits for another 25 minutes to let another fast service go past. I take it that's just because it serves as technically a local train from Brockenhurst onwards, from Brockenhurst toward Poole, stopping at all the stations, and it's not designed for passengers to take the service all the way from Waterloo to Poole, because it would just be so much quicker to take the faster service or change en route. So we have a few minutes wait at Basingstoke. That's just a bit of padding in the timetable. Later on I'll upload a bonus video of the route from Basingstoke to Exeter via Salisbury, so the extension of this, and I'll put a link to that over on the overlay. You also saw a local train to Reading there. Now the only trains we don't have on this route yet are the cross-country trains from Bournemouth to Manchester Piccadilly. Those aren't really needed yet since we haven't gone north of Reading and Oxford. I'll put them on much later, probably when I get to building the lines to Birmingham, because then there'll be a need for that kind of cross-country service. But until then, those won't be built. Apart from that, though, we have a completely full service in this part of the world now. So we're approaching Southampton Airport, where the same applies as what we saw at Gatwick Airport last time. So I've built a very small town here called Southampton Airport, which will make sure there's some airport traffic generated. The reason it's very small is just because Southampton Airport obviously generates far less traffic than, for example, Gatwick. And I'm planning to do that with every airport which is reasonably close to the rail network. Some which are farther afield, like maybe Doncaster, Sheffield, I won't bother with. So as I said, this service waits for about 20 minutes at Southampton. I think it's only about 15 minutes in the timetable, but we're running a little bit ahead of schedule. So you notice there's a train stop behind us on the same platform here. That's the Southampton to Brighton train. And that's not technically possible, but you'll see that what I've done there is actually split this one platform into two. There's a gap behind this train which allows you to tell one train to go into the front portion and one into the back portion, and that's necessary at some of these stations with high traffic, because, as you know, lots of stations often use this function where two trains can use the same platform at once. So the train that's just arrived in the far left platform is the train that we'll be switching over to now, and we will leave the slow service behind and switch to this train from Waterloo to Weymouth. I believe it's the slower of the two trains from Waterloo to Weymouth. It doesn't go fast from Brockenhurst to Bournemouth. We will be stopping at places like Christchurch. We've just gone through Bowley Road Station. I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, but since it only has a very occasional service in real life, I haven't bothered to include that as a stop on the Waterloo to Poole service, because it would be pretty complex to make it only very occasional, so I haven't bothered. At Brockenhurst you can see the line going off to Lymington Pier, which is perhaps a half-hourly service which connects with the main line. So the full journey from Waterloo to Weymouth takes about 3 hours, maybe just over 3 hours on this service. So the way that I've arranged the video, it's more or less 2.5 to 3 minutes for an hour of travel. So we're approaching Bournemouth now. You'll see that Bournemouth Station looks rather more simple than it does in real life. There are in fact more than two platforms at Bournemouth Station, but for everyday off-peak use, only those two are in operation. And that's typically the policy that I've followed, that only including the platforms that are used in ordinary off-peak usage. Especially in stations which have a lot of platforms, some of which are not used at all during off-peak use, and where space is at a premium. This is especially true in central London, so when building the central London stations I haven't thought, right, how many platforms does this have in real life, but I've sat down and worked out exactly how many platforms I will need to accommodate all the services, and in most cases that turns out to be fewer than in fact there are. So Waterloo has something like 20, maybe more than 20 platforms in real life, but I haven't built that many. There are maybe 16, which is what's needed to accommodate the off-peak services. So at Poole there you saw the slow service waiting in the siding. That's on the same line as the first train that we took on this route. And now from here to Weymouth, the London to Weymouth services are the only trains that serve this route. So after the next station there is a section of a single line working, which can usually be quite tricky to get right in Simutrans, but because these trains are just following the real life timetable, it's typically very simple to just plug in the timetable and it will all work out just fine. Sometimes it requires a bit of tinkering, but for this particular short single line section I didn't have to do anything special. So branching off from Dorchester is the line towards Castle Carey and ultimately Bristol. Bristol's not up and running yet, so that line's not running. I've just recently been building the lines through Castle Carey to Devon and Cornwall. That'll probably be the subject of the next video, so we'll get to see all that soon. And now we're approaching Weymouth, which is the end of the line. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and that you'll tune in soon for another. Thank you.